So, all right, again, the first thing you're going to do, pull in your original design that you're going to be using. So again, I'm just going to select whatever, said design, there it is. You're going to take, and this is for the first file that you make, you're going to do a circle. I'm holding shift and going around this, and you're going to make your circle as big as it needs to be. Add your lettering in there, right? So everything's done. You're going to take this, when you do that circle, you're going to want to go into shapes up top. You're going to want to make sure that this area, the region, is no-so. And the line area is just a running stitch. That's your first file. And again, it's going to have your lettering and all that, and you would want this centered so it's perfect. You're going to save that. File, save as. You're going to label it patch 1. I already saved one that's saying that, so it's saying, do you want to do it over? I'm going to say yes. So that one's done. Then you're going to go in, you're going to hoop on your fabric. Sure. You're going to do 2 layers of medium tearaway stabilizer. And once you have that medium tearaway, what you're going to do is you're going to go in. You actually can go with 1 layer of medium tearaway on this first one because you're using such a stable fabric to begin with. 1 layer of medium tearaway on the first one. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go in and cut. You're going to embroider as many of these out in 1 hoop as you can get. Then you're going to cut them out just to the outside of that line. Okay? So you're going to have however many you can make or that you need to make, you're going to cut them all out. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take this design, and we've already saved it as a file. We're going to delete the middle section of your design. So I'm going to select that option and select that object. I'm going to delete the middle because we just need that outline. And now, once I've done that, I need to go File, Save As, and rename it. I'm going to rename this one Patch 2. Once it's renamed, now we have 2 different files that we're working with. I can take this object, and we've got to do a couple things. I need 3 layers out of this. The first layer needs to be a straight stitch. We already have that. We're done. I'm going to copy. So I'm going to go copy and paste. I now have 2 layers over here on the left. I'm going to select the second one. Let's just make sure the second one is selected. And we're going to now change this one to being, instead of a running stitch, it's going to be a zigzag. Now, we don't want it to be a really tight zigzag because this is going to be a tack down stitch for this. So we're going to make the density super loose as our tack down. You're manually creating this. That's why we're doing all this in steps. So there is now a nice tack down stitch for this. There's also these running stitches that are going to be on there helping hold this in place. So let's just kind of look this through. Right now, these are the same color. Let's change this second one. We're going to change this second one to be a different color. It doesn't matter what, just make it a different color, okay? So now we've got 2 different colors. So our sewing right now is going to be the orange or whatever your first color, then your second color. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to select this again. It can be the first one, it can be the second one, it doesn't matter because we're just using the same shape to keep everything perfect. And now this time we're going to copy and paste again. You can just paste because you already have one there and it's already on there. So paste the third one. And now we're going to select it. So I select the object over here. We're going to change this to a zigzag. And this time we're going to go into sewing attributes and we're going to make the density. I'm going to move it up to about a 7.5 and then decide where you want your width. I've got it at 4.5. So you're going to decide on there. Here's a trick though. If you're at 4.5 on this one, your other, which is your second one, it's going to need to be less because you don't want it wider. You don't want it sticking out. So if that one's at 4.5, I'd probably bring this one in at more around, a 4 or so. So your millimeters. So you're not talking a lot of change in there. And we're going to look and we're just going to make sure none of it's creeping out the sides. So now we're going to grab our third one. And again, you want this one more color. So you have distinct colors. So let's go in and change that. So now we have 3 different colors over here. The new sew out looks like this. Straight stitch. You're going to make it do straight stitches all the way across. Okay? As many hoops as you can get. And this time you're going to hoop sticky back stabilizer face up if you have that. If you don't, just take 2 layers. You're going to need 2 layers either way of medium tearaway. And if you don't have sticky back, then take your cutouts that you've already made, put 505 on the back of those, and then stick them directly in that first line. Now, on your machine, you're going to want the machine to stop after it does the first line. So you can set your cutout patch into or onto the stabilizer inside that line. Does that make sense? And then you're going to hit go, and then that's what it's doing on here. It's doing all of the tack down stitching, and it's building a nice base for a good satin stitch to sit on top of. Once it's done with all of that, it's then going to go through and do that super tight satin stitch around there. After that's done, the patch is done. So just to take this one step further, this is one time that I would, and not on patch 1 that we created, but on the second patch, this is where I would go into your settings, design settings, pick the biggest hoop that you have. So make sure you pick the biggest hoop that you're working with, which is 360 by 200. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go in and you're going to take this patch and, oops, undo. All this needs to be grouped together first, and they need to stay where they're at. So I'm going to select all of it. We're going to group it. So where's my group? It's up. It should be at the top. Let's try that again. And it's saying that it's all grouped, but it doesn't look like it to me. Here's group. Let's group that. So right now we've got those groups. So when I move any of them, they all move together. Make sure that that's the case. So when we select it and we move it, everything moves together. Now what you're going to do, I'm just simply going to hold the control key and I'm going to make copies. And we're going to get as many of these in one hoop as we possibly can. You would have done that also, we didn't mention that, with the first one. Now, you might want to space them out a little bit better than what we've got on here because you can't get another one in anyway. So give yourself some space for those to kind of work their way in. Don't maybe make them so close. So it looks like if this was the actual size, and yours is probably going to be different, but if this is the actual size, we're going to get 8 in there. Okay? Once you have that, oh, that's actually my software doing that, not my embroidery software, my video software. Once you have that, make sure they're all inside the hoop, right? So I'm just bumping them over to the right. Let's grab them and pull them in. So now, here's what you're going to do different on here. You're going to want to, up here, you are going to want to optimize the sewing. I usually don't do that with the commercial machine. But on here, you want it to optimize because you want it to do all of those straight stitches. So you know where to put all of those sew out patches.
Right.
So you can place all of them. Once they're all placed, then you can just hit go and it'll finish all of them. Okay? And then after that, then you're just going to take them out of the hoop, pull away the stabilizer, and they should be finished. Got it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that should work.